Hello again, everybody. Welcome once again to another episode of the Tigres Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte. This episode recorded on Sunday, August 10th, 2025. And we have 43 games left on the regular season. And we will see where that goes. Let's start off, as we always do every week, with the injury report. No more news on Parker Meadows. He says he's feeling good, but apparently there's something that isn't happening that needs to happen, and so he has not gone out on a rehab assignment yet. Bad news for Matt Vierling, who had to leave yesterday's game and is now on the injured list with a mild oblique strain. I honestly think this has to do with the shoulder and him overcorrecting for the shoulder and possibly straining the oblique. But it is a mild strain, and they're hoping it's like a Gleyber Torres incident earlier this year, where he basically came back right after the 10-day stint on the IL was over. But we shall see. It is not a good thing when you're on the injured list for something like that. So that's something that he's dealing with. Alex Cobb made his third rehab start with the High A West Michigan Whitecaps on Friday. He was starting as a Beer City Bunghammer. So there you go. We will see if he even makes it up to the big leagues during the regular season. And Paul Sewald is due to come back on September 10th. He will probably have some sort of rehab assignment before then. Well, at that point, he really isn't going to have much, because the minor league season basically ends right around the beginning of September. So who knows how that's going to work out. But Paul Sewald, of course, picked up from the Cleveland Guardians in a trade just before the deadline. Speaking of those Cleveland Guardians, they lost today, and that's a good thing, because the Tigers won today, and that makes their lead 6 over Cleveland. And Detroit, of course, taking 2 out of 3 from the LA Angels after dropping 2 out of 3 to Minnesota earlier this week. So I mentioned there's 43 games left. Detroit is 68-51. 17 games above the 500 mark. They could still win 90 games, which would be good. They'd have to win 22 games out of their next 43. So they'd have to go 22-21 to win 90, which, in my opinion, would probably guarantee them the division. But you'd like to see them win 93 or 94. That would be good. But you never know. So, I'd like, over those 40 games, I'd like to see them go, 43 games, I'd like to see them go, I would like to see them go 28-15. But I doubt that's going to happen. Because if they did that, then they'd win, 96 games. And that would definitely get them to division. 25-18 is not out of the realm of possibility. Probably going to be more like 24-19, as much as probably 23-20, to be honest, with the way they've been playing. Which puts them at 91 wins. But, I'd like to see them go a little bit better than that. So, and here's why I say that. And people are going to sit there and say, oh, you're a downer, you're a downer, you're a downer. First and foremost, 22 of those 43 games are within the division. They got 6 more against the White Sox, 6 more against the Guardians, 6 more against the Royals, and 4 more against the Twins. That's 22 of their 43 games. The other 21 games, the Mets, the Braves, the Marlins, the Astros, the Yankees, the Red Sox. So, and the Athletics. Now, let's break this down. This is the remaining month of August. 3 this week against the White Sox, 4 against the Twins, 3 against the Astros. Now, that first 7 games, that's a road trip in Chicago and Minnesota, starts tomorrow night. They come home for a series starting Monday against the Astros. And then the Royals come to town for 3. They got an off day on next Thursday. All right. Then they go on the road to the Athletics in West Sacramento, and they got the Royals to close out the month of August in Kansas City. They come home for 3 against the Mets to start out September. They got 3 against the Guardians. They come home for 3 against the Mets, 3 against the White Sox, and then they go on the road for 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Marlins. Then they come home for 3 against the Guardians, 3 against the Braves, go on the road for 3 against the Guardians and 3 against the Red Sox. That's how they close that's the next month and a half. That's the next 43 games for Detroit. Okay? Now, Houston, division leader. The Mets in a battle for the division. The Braves in a battle for the playoffs. The Marlins always play the Tigers tough. The Yankees in a battle for the playoffs, if not the division at that point. The Red Sox in a battle for the division. The Guardians in a battle for the division. The Royals, Twins, and White Sox, all Central Division opponents. None of them want to play the Tigers. None of them want to roll over and let the Tigers just walk all over them. The A's, always difficult on the West Coast for Detroit. Doesn't matter who they're playing. When they play on the West Coast, it's tough. Okay? So let's just think about this whole scenario here. And to think that Detroit is going to do better than 23 and 20, 24 and 20, 24 and 19. If you think they're going to do better than that, I want what you're smoking. Chicago has played Detroit tough. Remember, they split a 4-game series in Chicago back at the beginning of June. The Royals always play the Tigers tough. The Twins just took 2 out of 3 after trading away basically the entire Major League roster. Byron Buxton's on the injured list. Carlos Correa gets traded away. No Johan Duran. No Griffin Jacks. No problem. They come in and beat up on Detroit. Yeah. You hold the Tigers offense to 13 runs over 3 games with a slap together bullpen. And then you got a lineup that doesn't have Carlos Correa, doesn't have Byron Buxton. And you score 18. That's saying something. That's a statement that Minnesota made to Detroit. Hey, we're not going to let you guys walk all over us. Detroit has a problem. Detroit's biggest problem, ever since I've started watching them back in the early 80s, Detroit has always played to the intensity and to the competition level of who they're playing. They played against Minnesota. They played at the same... They matched Minnesota's intensity instead of being more intense. They'll play Chicago. In Chicago, they're not going to play well because they're going to basically match the level of competition of who they're playing. It's a problem that Detroit has had for years, and I wish they would figure it out. Riley Green got his 85th, 86th, and 87th runs batted in today. And he's the first lefty to have more than 85 runs batted in since 1979. Steve Kemp did it in 1979. Now let's think about who's been left-handed that has come through the Tigers organization since 1979. You're telling me Lou Whitaker in his entire career never had more than 85 ribbies? Darrell Evans? Never more than 85 runs batted in? Prince Fielder didn't have more than 85 runs batted in the 2 years he was with Detroit? That's crazy stuff. That is really crazy stuff. When you think about the I won't say Hall of Fame caliber, but they've had some good hitters come that were left-handed that came through Detroit, and none of them had more than 85 runs batted in. Now, it doesn't surprise me with Whitaker as much because he was a leadoff guy most of the time. Sparky usually had him at the top of the lineup. Kirk Gibson never had more than 85 runs batted in for the Tigers. Tell me that's not nuts. Green also hit his 27th homer of the year today. Kerry Carpenter hit his 21st. Spencer Torkelson hit his 25th on Friday. So you could see 3 guys have 25 or more home runs this year for the Tigers, which would be a first in a long time. Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson will probably have 30. I don't know that Carpenter will get there. But he'll get close. He'll probably get 25 or 26. He's had 5 homers in his last 34 at-bats. So if anybody could do it, he could, because 43 games, he's going to get more than 34 at-bats in 43 games. So he could hit 9 homers in the next 43 games. I'm pretty sure you can pencil in Green for 30. So there you go. We will talk more next week. Grueling road trip, 7 games, 2 cities, 2 divisional opponents. We'll see how it works out. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can. Drop a comment on the YouTube page. I appreciate that. You could also email the show, tigersbaseballpodcast@gmail.com. It's the world's longest email address, and I'm proud of that. At Podcast Tigers on Twitter, at TB Podcast, at tweezecake.social on Mastodon if you choose to get a hold of me there. That's TWEESE cake.social. We will catch up with you guys next week. Thanks for listening, and go Tigers.